I thought it was just a flat tire on a cold road. I did not know it would quietly change my life forever. Before I begin, let me say this gently. If you have ever helped someone without expecting anything back, if you believe kindness always find, its way home, then stay with me. Please take a moment to like this story, subscribe to the channel, and settle in. This is not a loud story. It is a quiet one. And sometimes those are the ones that stay with us the longest. My name is Marga Rhett Collins. I am 42 years old, and this is something that happened to me one New Year's evening. New Year's Eve has never been loud for me. No parties, no fireworks in my living room window, just quiet, soft lights and a simple dinner. I lost my husband 6 years ago. Cancer does not make noise when it takes someone, it just leaves silence behind. And that silence became my companion. I work as a clerk at a small insurance office. Nothing special, nothing exciting. Just enough to keep the lights on and the fridge stocked. That evening, I had stayed late. Paperwork had piled up. By the time I locked the office door, the sky was already dark, the kind of dark that feels heavy. The radio played old songs. SL. ones. I drove carefully, thinking about nothing in particular. I did not feel lonely that night, just still. About 20 minutes into my drive, I saw hazard lights ahead, blinking, lonely, right on the shoulder of the highway. I slowed down. Most cars didn't. I could have driven past. I thought about it. It was cold, and it was New Year's Eve, but something in me said, just look. So I pulled over. An old sedan sat quietly, one tire flat against the ground. Beside it stood an elderly couple. The man leaned heavily on the car. The woman held his arm, rubbing it gently like she had done it 1,000 times before. They looked small against the dark road. I rolled down my window and asked, "Are you okay?" The woman smiled first, a soft, tired smile. "We will be," she said. "We're just waiting." Waiting can be dangerous on a highway, especially at night. I stepped out of my car. The wind was sharp. My fingers hurt almost right away. "Do you have help, Ming?" I asked. The man shook his head slowly. "Our phone died," he said. "We were on our way home from our daughter's place." There was no panic in his voice, just acceptance that made my chest hurt. I had never changed a tire before, not alone, not in the cold. But my husband once showed me, years ago, patiently, smiling. I told them to sit in my car. I turned the heater on high. The woman held her purse tight on her lap. Not out of fear, out of habit. I knelt by the tire. My hands shook, not from fear, from cold. Cars rushed past, the world kept moving, but in that small space, time slowed down. The man spoke through the open window. "Thank you," he said. "You didn't have to stop." I smiled without looking. "I know," I said. "It took longer than it should have. I dropped the wrench once." I laughed quietly at myself. When the spare tire was finally on, I stood up slowly. My knees ached. The woman stepped out of the car and held my hands. Her palms were warm. "You gave us more than help tonight," she said. "You gave us peace." I didn't know what to say. They offered me money. I shook my head. They asked for my number. I hesitated, not because I didn't trust them, but because I did not expect anything. I wrote my name on a small piece of paper, just my first name, Margaret. The man folded it carefully and placed it in his wallet. "Happy New Year," the woman said softly. "Happy New Year," I replied. I watched their car disappear down the road. Then I sat in my own car for a long moment, hands on the steering wheel, heart unusually full. I drove home slowly, made soup, went to bed early. I did not think of them again, not until 10 days later. It was a Tuesday. Why morning? Cold, gray. I was making coffee when someone knocked on my door. That never happens. I opened it carefully. A man stood there in a clean coat, well-dressed, calm. "Are you Margaret?" he asked. "Yes," I said, my heart quickened. "Or no reason." He smiled politely. "My name is Thomas. I hope I'm not intruding." Behind him, a black car waited at the curb. "I was asked to find you," he said. "Find me." Those words felt strange, he explained slowly, carefully. The elderly Opal I had helped. They were not just anyone. They were quiet people with a long story. A story of building, of saving, of planning. The man had owned a small manufacturing company for decades, sold it recently, kept his life simple. They had no interest in attention, only intention, and that night on the highway, they had decided something. Thomas asked if he could come inside. We sat at my small kitchen table. He placed an envelope in front of me. Inside was a letter, handwritten. T10. The woman's handwriting was gentle, curved, careful. She wrote about that night, about fear, about waiting, about seeing me stop. She wrote, "You reminded us that kindness still walks this world quietly." I felt tears but did not let them fall. The letter explained that they had chosen to help someone in return. Not loudly, not publicly. Silently, they had paid off my remaining mortgage. Every last dollar. I could not breathe. I thought it was a mistake. Thomas shook his head. "It was very intentional," he said. I cried then, not loudly, just tears slipping down. I had struggled for years. Bills, loneliness, carrying everything alone. And now, without warning, relief had arrived, not as revenge, not as reward, but as reflection. Thomas waited patiently. "They asked for nothing," he said. "Only that you continue being who you already are." When he left, the house felt different. The walls seemed lighter, the silence kinder. I wrote them a letter back, many drafts. I told them how that night stayed with me, how stopping had not felt heroic, just human. Weeks passed. We exchanged a few letters, nothing more. They never asked for visits, never asked for thanks, just quiet connectio. And I paid forward what I could, not money, time. I helped neighbors. I listened more. I stopped rushing past moments. The real gift was not the house. It was the reminder that goodness does not announce itself. People often think revenge must be loud, sharp, public. But sometimes, the strongest revenge against a hard world is staying soft. That night the highway was cold, dark, unkind. I chose to stop. 10 days later, kindness returned, not to impress me, but to teach me that even small actions echo, and sometimes they come back as quiet miracles. If this story touched something in you, please like this video, tell us in the comments. Have you ever helped someone without knowing why? And if you believe kindness still matters, subscribe for more stories like this. Thank you for listening, and may your kindness always find its way home.